this, I think we got to page Kuf Pei Zayin, and he's continuing to go on with the 13 Tikuni Dikna of Eric Anpin. Some of it is quite straightforward, and then we'll see how it goes. So we're on number 10. It's Asiroa Tikuna Asivi de Dikna de Eric Anpin. Hafyan Zairin al Garona de Yakira Ravravim. So we're referring to the beard again as Yakiru. And he says, Saharas Katana Machoifim Makasim al Chelika Elyon Shalagoran. So the upper portion of the beard has these little small hairs. Let's see if it says Saharas Katanim. They surround this area, they cover over this. There's a Samach Ludikna de Eric Anben Hanikra Yakiru. So it's not part of the beard. It sounds like it's not part of the beard, but it's right next to the beard, and so therefore it's consumed in it, I guess. Yakiru v'haindacha lifnim and v'saros. It's inside of the hairs aruchim shel mazel atachton of the lower mazel. Now, that's interesting. Not sure exactly how that works out. Let me get this, get myself lined up. There we go. So he says the chatzar. Tikun echad also the dikna de Erikanpin, so the 11th, who tikun nosef b'sa'aro sha'al hagoran, the tikun hasiri. This is an addition onto what we said about the 10th, which is these hairs that cover over the upper half of the neck. This is interesting. Behind the sha'aros elu, that these hairs, and 1 second, I have some technical issue I have to deal with here. Let me see. Okay, all I got to do is figure out where I'm at. Where are we now? I had to move something. He says, behind the shasaros elu, mishurim orchan, they are measured, their paths are measured b'shir shalim b'shav. In other words, one of it is not longer than the next. There's not one that's longer than its friend. So it comes out like this. They're really the same one, it sounds like. They're talking about the same hairs. So he says, Ella, because number 10 refers actually to the place where the hairs are located. The Goran that's right next to the throat. It has to do with another quality. Shear usually goes with the malchusdik aspect, but I don't know. I just started to say that. The Haino Shehem Shir Orech Shava. That is, they all have the same length, and that's a quality that makes it a tikkun. Number tracer is number 12. He said, Tikkun L'Shnei Ma'aser addicted to Eric Anpin. So the 12th one of Eric Anpin, he says, "Hu sifavon is penun mikol citrin." These are lips that are clear on all sides. Hainuchas fasayim penuyim b'sa'aras mikol sad. In other words, there are no hairs on the right side of it, the middle of it, or the left side of the lips, which is up and down. The hainuch she'en gedalim b'sa'aras al malkum ovi shtei hasfasayim. So there's no hairs grow there. Behind Ochem al Safa al Yoda Vahim al Safa Tachtona. So we're talking about whether upper lip, lower lip, same thing. Kamo Kain Hasa'aru Sharabatikun Shnei Asheni. So when we talked about the second tikkun, which is the upper lip, Hagdela Lamala Basafa al Yona, Ainun Yodin the Malta Bapad. They don't go down and grow into the area called the mouth. In other words, they're limited. That limitation itself, says the tikkun. And then you go under the lip, they don't start growing into the place of the mouth. Nimsaki pad Eric Anpin, who poniv rekon mikolas aras, and those hairs there, and it says furthermore, call Laman the Nashik Beinin the Shikin. Whoa. Happy as the person is able to be kissed by those lips. Ashrei milamisha noshik me'eluch hanishikim. Kolomach shazaycha lekabel shum ha'ara me'ichun. Now here's the part. Me'ichun the nishikin. He says that the yichud of nishikin, which we're hearing, is high level of intimacy. The nishikim the root of this is in the mouth. So he doesn't say exactly what that was. First he was talking about the lips. Now he's coming over here And he's saying there's a yichud that takes place in the mouth. Nothing should stay. So I'm thinking, was he talking about the chek and the goron? Is that the yichud he's talking about? I don't know. So hakolomish hazeicha lekabel shum ha'ara meyichud and nishikin sheshosha pepeh elyon de erikanpen. So the secret of that is in that mouth. So he says the erikanpen. And number tlesar. Now we get the number tlesar as the plot begins to thicken. He says that Tikkun HaShlosha also the dicta to Eric Anpin, whom Mazel the Tachton is lower Mazel. Shemekabel the Shefa B'Tikkun the Shmini. So it's apparently connected to the eighth, which really is connected mostly to Chochmah, but it receives from Chochmah. Those are my words. He didn't say that. Hashefa B'Tikkun the Shmini Shuhu Mazel LeElyon, also known as the upper Mazel. Ki Mazel LeElyon Mashbir Hashefa the Mazel the Tachton B'Sod Zocha V'Nok. So this is the male-female correspondence between Chochmah and Bina. He said of more and explains like the Bahaku Mazal of the Kula, Ki Ba'osa Mazel LaElya, the Nikra Mazel, Lukol, it's called the everybody's Mazel canal. He said Nagdin Klesa Meshichin. This is the place that the 13 oils, well, we should see, come out. He said, that's where they come down from. So he says, Nom Shem Shlosha Aser Shmanim, Shem Shefa Shlosha Aser Tikuni Dikna, which is really the Shefa that comes from the Dikna. Hanim Shachem Memuchas Timor, the Erikanpin, which comes out of the Muchas Timor, that flow, the Meshicha that's coming out of the Muchas Timor, of that light, but Nikroim Shemen Amish. It's called anointing oil. So then it adds this idea also to parsmona, dachia. The parsmona is persimmon, but I'm not sure exactly what it apparently meant something here. It's a very beautiful fragrance. These are perfumed oils, tahod, which is extremely tahor. Shuhu shefa besod bina hanikros aparsimon, because so now we got the word aparsimon in here. I've seen it many times. Now we have a definition. He says, Shuhu Shefa Besod Bina. Bina is called the Aparsimon. Why would Bina be called the Aparsimon? He said, Ki HaShefa Nimshach El Mazel L'Tachton, because the whole Shefa comes down to this lower Mazel. Now he's saying that it is an incense, like or a beautiful fragrance along with the oil. They used to put things in the oil. He says, Shuhu Bina. This is where Bina holds on to. Bina is attached to the lower mazel. So he says, Ki ima yoneka b'shefa b'mazel l'tachton, because all of her shefa, she is able to nurse or feed off of this lower mazel. V'hu shefa tahor, it's completely pure. Below shum b'chiz shel din kiyotzeba, it has absolutely pure, as we call the parsimon, it's absolutely beautiful. Kula b'chai mazel l'shkiach. V'kol elo shlosha aser shmonim. So all of the 13 different kinds of oil, the parsimon, which are really the oils that are going to be the oils of bina tahor, they're all completely pure. Nimsoyim b'zecha mazel the tachsa. So it comes out in this lower mazel. The fish are called shlosha aser tikuni digdach nechlal b'mazel the tachta, because all of the 13 are incorporated in the lower mazel. Shuhu Tikkun HaShlosha Aser HaKol L'Skulim, which has within it all of them. So he said, V'Sasim, and it closed up. V'Kol HaShefa Chazecha Dimsa B'Mazel L'Tachton, who saw some. So everything, all the Shefa from 12, from the other upper 12 flowing down into the number 13, but it's sealed in there. Ki Mazel L'Tachton, who B'Bechinah B'Bina Kanal, because the lower is the Aston of Bina, it has a Bina that is attached to it. So I guess it feeds, they become one. I guess. Ubina hiba bechinas alma de iskasia, and we understand that bina is the concept of a world that is covered over. Olam bechusit, b'li chasaga v'yediyah. That's what he's trying to say, that we have some immediate relationship between Zachav and Nuk, but when you come to bina, it's beyond us. Bezimda demata yarcha shiviyah, and this is one that I think is starting really getting into something a little bit different. He says that when the 7th month of the year comes, okay, so the 7th month, in the first 10 days of that month, that's what this is called. So we find that the months here, now let me see what he means. Oz Nimsoim Shlosha Aser Tikuni Dikna. Now this is where you see the presence of the 13. Is a Hanikroim Chadashim, which are called months. Now, I have not heard this before, so we're going to say this. So he says they're called Chadashim. He says, Va'inyan Elocha Chadashim. Now, wait a minute. Let's see. In the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, those days are called Chadashim. I think that's what he's saying. If I'm wrong, let me know. Va'inyan Elocha Chadashim, who's the Inyan of these Chadashim, Ki Shlosha Aser Tikuni Dikna de Erik Anpen Hein Keneged Shneim Aser Chad Hashanah. So the first 13, the 13, not the first, no, the 13 correspond to the 12 months of the year. Yachad im Chodesh Iver, together with the leap year, which we're in right now. I guess that makes 13. So that's the reason why you could count up 12 plus 1 is 13, and that's the reason why they get called lumped up together. What was the last word? B'shem Chadashim, that's why they're called Chadashim. Ba'alma ilah v'shlosha asa tikuni dikna elah nimsa mimizgalna ba'olam ma'elyon shehu bina. So where these 13 are actually revealed is in Bina. Or Bina, you just said, is the Olam Miskasia. So therefore we can't see it, but it's there. V'inyan hu, he says, ki shlosh asa tikuni dikna elohim stumim b'mazel l'tachton. They're closed up in there. Shabon ne'achazim Bina kanal. This is where you see Bina is attached to that. V'hatach b'techilas chodesh Tishrei. So now you're at the beginning of Chodesh Tishrei. So he says in the upper world, they're all shown there. Now, I don't know if he means that they are now collecting there when the month starts. Maybe that's it. Now you see them all there. And as a result of them being there, which are revealed in the upper world, Niftachim the mata b'zer anpin, they open up down below into Zair anpin. Umeirim b'sod shlosha asa tikuni dikna de Erik anpin. And so those 13, which are inside of Bina, are now flowing. What is his word? Meirim are shining into Zair anpin. V'az na'asim shlosh asa sh'arei rachamim, and this makes then 13 different gates of mercy in Zair anpin. So that's a nice time. So therefore at this time, so this particular time, so they seek Hashem in the place it can be found. What's that about? So he says this, understand this? It goes like this. Pirish like this. Zair anpin nikra yud ke vav ke. As we know, every place, he's a manifestation of that name. V'omar hakasav dirsho as Zair anpin, seek Zair anpin b'himatzu. Okay, so this is a question. What does himatzu mean? The place he's found. Kolomba b'makom motzo, the hainu shorsho. Go find where he starts. Shu bina anechazav b'mazel l'tachta, because Zair anpin, really his beginning is in Bina. And she is Bina hanechazav b'mazel l'tachton, who is attached to the lower mazel, the beard of Erik anpin. The dikta de Erik anpin, the oz mizgalim kol shlosha asa tikundi dikta de Erik anpin, and this becomes the completion. No, I said it wrong. The oz mizgalim, they're revealed then kol shlosha asa tikundi dikta de Erik anpin b'mazel tachta, with a lower mazel. V'nimshachin lamata b'sod shlosha asa tikundi dikta de Zair anpin, and they all flow downwards, down below into the Shlosh Asa Dikna Tikunim of the Dikna the Zair anpin. V'az na'asa Zair anpin bebechinas rachamim kamor. So when this happens, then the rachamim is pouring to Zair anpin, as we said before, it's shining on him, and then he starts absorbing it. V'lechein afilu yachid sheshaba the tshuva b'seres yimei the tshuva. So therefore, even an individual who does tshuva during the 10 days of repentance, he says tshuva miskabelas tshuva, so his tshuva is received. Masha ein came b'shar Yemos Hashanah, which is not the case at that time, because this is the time of the revelation of the 13 Midas Rachamim in Bina. So now we're going to a new stage. Let's see, we have a few minutes, just like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Huh?
We'll pick up later.
Oh,
we'll pick up later.
Okay, no, call too. Okay, bye. Stop this. Hello, hello. Where are we here? Okay, I'm sorry. I was in the other room. Okay, so I think we got to. Let me see. I get this lined up right. Get this going. 1 second. There we go. That was kind of a long shear. I didn't stop apparently on my recorder. Wait. Okay, so it says like this, cause of a Torah. So we're getting into a section called Iver Veledos Zair Venuk. And this is got some meat in it. Cause of a Torah Biyom Ashlishi the Maisa Bereshis, and the third day Biyom Hashem Biyom Elokem Tad Sheha Aretz Desha Esev Mazria Zera Eitz Pri Ose Pri. Then he says like this: he says, "Even the fiha yisod iri rapasad beivor zer v'nukva." I said this particular pasuk is talking about Zair v'nuk, b'mei ima, in the womb of Ima, and then it says berushu hukach, and this is where you can understand this. He says, "V'yomer Elokim hu ha'ma'atza le'elyon." So who is this Elokim? It's the ma'atza le'elyon. Ted she ha'aretz desha. Koloma ha'aretz ha'elyonim. What is the heart's only is bina? Shehi b'bina sis aver b'socha b'azer v'nukva. She conceives them inside of her. And they call him dasha. So the two of them are called dasha. So the l'chein lo amar hotel ha'aretz dasha. So therefore it doesn't say bring dasha out. Kamosha amar b'pasuk haba, which is what we're going to say there. Lo noldul zar v'nuk. So therefore they're zer v'nuk. So therefore v'lo yotza l'chutz. So therefore v'chein amber be'esiv mazria zera. There has to be some esiv is mazria zera produces that v'lo amber yehi esiv mazria zera. V'hainu, that is to say, mishum the yehi hu lashon shleimus. Yehi is a language of shleimus. Really. That was still not complete at that point. It says at what time? B'shas ha'ivur. He adayim choya ketanim kekarnei chagavim ulaholon. It's because it was so very, very tiny, like the horns of I don't know if it's horns or antennae of locusts. V'vama od, and he says furthermore of od. Eitz pri ose pri, so it's an eitz pri that makes a pri. The mavur bezover he says ki eitz pri hu hanukva, so the eitz pri is the nukva. For ose pri, then there's also nosa pri, hu zer anpen. So the eitz pri, okay, well that's the object, and the ose pri is the energy that makes it, something like that. But here, if you look at it, it says the eitz pri first. Shua Nukva, Lifnei Ose Pri before the maker. That's the really opposite of where it should be. Shuhu Zer Anpin. So why would it be like that? So normally you would say the Ose Pri, you gotta have an Ose first, but here it says the Pri. Which to me I started thinking that this is kind of like meaning she's the destination without a Kli. That's a position of the Sulam is that the word Kabbalah really refers to the Ratzon L'Kabel. Without the Ratzon L'Kabel, you don't have anything. So here's what he's saying. He says that lack is that comes first. That's my own personal. For Indian, who the Indian is like this. Because at the time of what's the right word of gestation? That's it. The Nuk comes first. So do, which is really the secret of the division of the word he's going to say, is the word do, partzufim. Now do in Latin means two. So he says, besod do partzufim, there are two partzufim here. But that's true on the outside. But the fact of the matter is, he's going to say, ki besod os hey. Now the hey, you could actually see very easily how it's a do. And when she becomes impregnated with Zair anpen v'nukva, azay mischalekes os hey, then what you see there is that actually her pregnancy is really a division of herself from a hey into two letters. Shall ima l'shtei os yos do. V'nukva v'hisod os daud, as we know from other places, Zair anpen who sod os vav, which we know too. Vini os daud kodemis the os vav. So we see the daud here come before the vav besod do. So he said v'nimsa shehan nukva shehi daud. So therefore the nukva, she represents the daud kodemis the Zair anpen shehu the vav. Okay. V'hu and v'hine be'esa iver. So at this time of conception, Shechan Nukva he ma'al Zair anpen, she's above Zair anpen. Now when he says ma'al, okay, ma'al is that she's panimi to him, she came first. So do. Azai ein zivuk the Zair anpen v'nukva, but there's no possibility of having a yichud between the two of them. Mishum the Nukva because the Nukva is on the top, and she automatically, and I don't know automatically, but she becomes a part of Bina. So first he said that, I'll just go on a little bit more. So he said, similar to this, who be Yom Kippurim, but this is like on Yom Kippur, he says, Bina. Because at that time, in Yom Kippurim, the Nukva goes up to that area, ve'ein zivug the Zair anpen and Zair v'nukva, and so as a result of that, there's not going to be any yichud take place here. Hainu dechsev, this is what it says. The zecher shekazeh b'pasuk, this is what the pasuk says, ve'yenisem es nafshal seichem b'teisha l'chodesh be'erev. So you have to afflict yourself. What does this mean? Pirish b'Yom Kippurim. We're talking here about Yom Kippurim, shehu b'teisha l'chodesh tishrei. So on the 9th day, he says, "What teach for the Chodesh Tishrei ve'erev." In other words, he means, I guess, at the end of the 9th day. So you can't live husband-wife. Because at this moment, there's not going to be any yichud, because here he says that the Nukva passed beyond Zair anpen. Okay, now previously he said that there were, I guess he says that the creation of Zair anpen in some way has to do with these two letters, Daled and Vav. Or the creation of Zachar v'Nuk, let's say, the two of them together, is like that, and the Nuk comes first. Then he says on Yom Kippur, that same situation comes back again. And he says, Mishum, should be Yom Kippurim, Olah HaNukva the Bina, because that's the reason why. She goes back up to the Bina, which is where she was before. I'm thinking that what he means is that she's still attached to Bina in some way. Whereas the Zachar part, he's not. I don't know though. V'oz ein zivug l'malak amor. So then there's no zivug at that time. Behind him at this time. So this time where this yichud is taking place in Zachar v'Nuk, I'm sorry, that this conception is going on inside of the womb of Ima. And the pasuk says, Adna, so he says, I'm just going to pronounce it Adni, but I think he has a reason for the vocalization maybe. And then it says Havaya with the Nikudim of Elokem, I think. So Ata, Chachalosach laharos as abdika as gadolcha. You have begun to show your servant your greatness. Now, what's going on? He said, so this phrase, according to the Zohar, says this. The Shem Adni, that name, who sowed b'malchus. This is the secret of malchus. Of course, this always comes with malchus. V'shem Havaya b'nikud elokim, and the Havaya, which has a nikud of elokim over here. He says, who sowed bina. That's the concept of bina. But if you put the two of them together, it becomes a romas al aliyas amalchu besoch bina beso the ivor. So this is something also that the Sulam talks about a lot, because I just really didn't have a way into the Sulam, but he uses these words. He says romas al aliyas amalchus de bina, because this is the phrase that the Sulam use all the time. That's a big deal. Is a malchus movie de bina beso the ivor, because when that happened, now he doesn't say the second part. So the Ever, because that's the time of gestation where something new is going to be made, maybe. That's why you say that you've begun. Hachilos who lashon haschala. It's because of starting something. So what are you talking about? At the beginning, where they're just being formed up. So she was still inside. She was inside of Bina. Okay, so she's an embryo inside of Bina. Hanikras Havaya. Now Havaya benikud Elokem. So he says the Bina is called Havaya with the nikud of Elokem. At this moment, the Nukva is in front of Zair Anpin. Besod do, like we just said, dos part, which is the word like in Spanish in dos, right? The dos partzufim, canal. Like it's like two partzufim, they're different. They used to be a hey, now they're broken up. V'omer Odin, says further, Hashem shlim besitroi. Now he says, yud ke vavke, ki b'kol makom shenizka shem yud ke vavke. Bilvad, just to have that name by itself. Azachab aromas the Zair Anpin, it always just, as it normally, it says that it represents Zair Anpin. It's a reference to Zah. But in a position where he has Malchut Godless, behind the Achash Nolad Zair Anpin, V'yatz B'mei Ima. No, he didn't mean godless, he just meant that after he is now an independent partzuf. The Oz Zair Anpin called it the Nukva, because in later, if you look at it, it's like a tube. So she's on the top of the tube and he's on the bottom of the tube. So she comes first, she's attached to Bina. Really interesting. And then after that, he winds up coming out. He comes out first. So the Oz Zair Anpin called him the Nukva. So she actually is like his partner. He's a partner. She's standing on his side. For Osias Yaakov, now you have the letters Yaakov. Now you have a Vav here. Shel Shem Yud Ke Vav Ke. He says Romevis the Zair Anpin, so those represent Zair Anpin. V'os hey, let's go backwards. He says hey Achrona Romas the Nukva. So he says the final hey is reference to the Nukva. Home method B'tzad Zair Anpin, who is standing on his side. So that you're too young for the for Hopalong Cassidy, but he had a sidekick, a comical sidekick. So here he's saying, this is your partner. She's on your left. Or he didn't say that. She, in fact, completes him. So this is how he's complete, because he's 10 spheros with her. But when you're talking about here, so we're talking about the kind of that gestation or pregnancy. So then they're moving around, they're rustling around over there in her womb, and she is called the upper Eretz. They're in the upper Eretz. So he says besod chodsha tedsha haaretz dasha canal. Like I said, the dasha is zachav anuk. So the Aretz, this is upper Aretz, is going to give forth to this dasha. Lo shlim, it's not complete. Az is there anpin adayim ela b'shlemus, but he's not complete. Kizer vanuk Choyadayim dakim kakarni chagava, because of a teeny weeny, like antennae of a grasshopper. Nukva is the Zair Anpen, and she comes first. So just like we explained the concept of that partzufim, like do partzufim. It's a dalet and the vav partzufim, which that they're actually separate. Vaz gam ein zivug bezer abzer v'nukva amor. So then also you see there's no yichud taking place between zach and nuk because they're reversed order. V'amar that this word yehi. Now he goes into this. We have this word yehi. There was like yehi or yehi. So this is gematria. I thought right away it's 25, okay, but he didn't seem to go there. So yehi lo ksiv, but in this particular case, he says that it doesn't. You don't have the word yehi. Lo pasuk yehi esav mazriya zera, but this is the reason why the pasuk doesn't say let there be esav mazriya zera. Ella osa ala esav. It's an esav that's mazriya zera bilvad. Now what's this about? The Indian news of the Indians like this. Ki milas yehi. Let's go to this word. Romez loholedis zer anpin v'yitziyasa lahutz. So let it be. Refers to the yitziyah of zer anpin. Ki shalosh osios shall yehi. So these three letters are like this. Heim abba ve'ima. That's the yak, I guess. Besod yak, which is the set of yud k. V'zer anpin besod yud, and zer anpin is now a yud. Now I don't know. I know that I saw something in the Gra about this. Anyway, so he said v'hainu the abba ve'ima b'shehem yak molidim as zer anpin. They give birth to zer anpin. Shuhu gam came besod os yud. He's a yud too. So what are we talking about? Lefichach atara b'shas the Iber. So now we're looking like this. At the time of the Iber, shachadayim b'dachabanoidiv v'nizgal is their anpin. So he's still inside of Ima and he's not revealed. Elam maskir milas yehi. The word yehi is not used over here. Haromas laholeda v'yitzia l'chutz, which yehi means is something coming, which is a reference to he's ready, he's coming out, or he's ready to come out. V'amar rak esav mazriya zera, and he says just an esav that produces seed. Okay, that's it for today. Well, it's got better stuff coming. Yeah, Kol Tov.